All right, there we go.
All right.
All right.
Good. I have
We're good. I have
echo on my ears.
Serious echo on my ears.
That's got to stop.
And that's got to stop.
And hello, everyone. Thanks for
hello, everyone.
Thanks for your patience for that
joining
little
me.
moment.
Thanks for your patience for that little moment.
Technical issues kind of worked out.
The technical issues kind of worked out.
Thrilled and
I am thrilled and super appreciative
Eric,
to have
Royce.
Eric,
I said Bruce
Royce,
for too long, man. I'm sorry.
I said Bruce for too long, man. I'm sorry.
And
Bruce
Dahan
and
getting my brain untrained.
Getting my brain untrained is going to take a while.
Yeah, so I have a few questions.
Yeah, so I have a few questions.
Monitoring the chat
Sarah
as
is
normal.
monitoring the chat
any
as
questions
normal.
We will try to get
so
to
any questions
extra
we will try to get to extra
not sure how much time we'll have left over. So
not sure how much time we'll have left over.
We'll see what's going on.
We'll see what's going on. Sarah's gonna.
What's up?
What's up?
Still an echo.
There's an echo.
There's an echo.
5 seconds ago.
I don't know why.
I don't know why this has happened.
This guy.
The volume.
Yeah. There's two things. There must be two sounds playing in your computer.
I don't know why.
All right.
Let
me take a
5-second
break.
5-second break. We'll get this worked out.
You want to hear what it sounds like?
Eric, try to say something and let me know if people in the chat, if you can let me know if this makes sense. Yeah. Exactly. There's still an echo? Yeah, I'm hearing an echo. Better, good, much better. But I don't know if they can hear it. They shouldn't be able to hear Eric.
I can try this. All right. This should be better. It's only coming in through Skype. So I really don't know why Skype shouldn't be picking me up at all, but it is. So
Correct. We can't hear Eric.
okay. Eric, you try to talk again. They should be able to hear him.
All right, let's give this another go. Can you all hear this?
There. Good. All right.
Yes,
We're
you
good.
can hear me? All
Sorry
right, yes.
about that.
I've just been being very quiet.
That's fine. All right. For some reason, Skype should not be picking me up, but it is. So we had both my computer picking me up with this, and then Skype picking me up, and it's bizarre. So we're gonna go right into the questions. Eric, before I forget, where can people get more Eric Royce in their lives because they love your game so much and they just need it?
Thank you so much. Right now, I have, if you're looking for like other games I've made, I have one from a while back, a lightly themed abstract positional called Fealty, published by Asmadi Games. I have one called For Science, which is coming out through Grey Fox fairly shortly. It's at the printer right now. And in general, if you want to keep up to date on what I'm doing, you can go to rericroyce.com, just Eric Royce, the way it is on the box. And that has a little bit of information about me, a little bit about my games, and a link to sign up for a mailing list if you want to be like notified when I have new stuff coming out or what.
Now, For Science, you had to rename that in light of 2020 events. Is that correct?
Yeah, that. So originally it was called The Lab, which was sort of a very purposefully generic prototype name, though I had vague notions of maybe pitching it to Z-Man as Pandemic the Lab, because it's all about what you're doing in a lab to try and cure a deadly disease. But then Z-Man published Pandemic the Lab before I even got, partly into testing, and so that didn't fly. So then it got changed to another Response Lab Alpha, which was like another prototype title, deliberately chosen as a prototype. But we got so used to it that we nearly kept it. We're like, no. Okay, all right. So then we changed it to what was going to be its real, honest-to-goodness final title, Science or Die. And then we were heading for the Kickstarter, and there was an actual bona fide global pandemic, and we decided that would be in ludicrously poor taste. So we shifted it. And also, honestly, the tone of the game had shifted a bit. I worked on the game over many years. Like, I started For Science before I ever started Spirit Island. And when you have that many layers over the years, then there's a lot of work, and different things I've done at different times had slightly different thematic takes. And some of them were very comedic. Some of them were much more sort of grim dystopian comedic. Others were sort of more valiant. And so, I like sat down with the publisher and said, okay, like, what do we want the tone of this game to be? Settling on the new name was a chance to set the tone of the game. And, we did that. We said, okay, well, we want the tone of this game to be like, okay, there's comedy. Things are kind of ridiculous, and it's somewhat satiric on sort of like, corporate culture, but it's also not a fundamentally bleak game. It's a game about about moderate amounts of ridiculousness, but also about hope. In that way, the name change really helped crystallize a lot of sort of the editorial focus of the game, which was kind of awesome.
Cool. Let's get into some Spirit Island stuff.
Totally.
So I had two patrons, David and Eric, want to know, what can you tell us about the Han themed expansion that's about to come out, or whatever about is?
So I can tell you I'm in initial groundwork stages. Anybody who keeps careful watch on Spirit Island and Board Game Geek will notice I posted something back in 2020 looking for folks to talk to, any indigenous gamers, any gamers who are from cultures which have been impacted by colonialism, and any gamers who have a vested interest in how the Dahan might be portrayed. And I've been like talking with folks about that, getting lots of reading recommendations. I will hold up my stack of books which I have for reading this winter, but it's too big to readily hold up. So I'm sort of in the initial groundwork stages of learning and listening and figuring out what folks who are most directly impacted would like to see and where I need to do more learning and reading. That's pretty much where I am. And until I do all that, I can't really say a lot about what might be in it. I mean, even when I'm in the middle of development, it's always unclear what will end up actually being in something and what will end up on the cutting room floor. And I'm not even into that stage at all yet.
People will notice that I'm having some sizing issues with with this screen keeps moving. I did 3 tests. This is some Bringers of Nightmares stuff going on. It's nuts. But I will try to minimize the distractions so we can listen to this. But yeah, one thing I've always been impressed with is clearly the level of like historical research that went into the adversaries. But it fascinates me that the idea of a historical adversary wasn't in the original game. Based on, I've heard you talk about Bane cards.
Yeah.
Talk about that process and when you flip to trying to actually get historical adversaries represented.
So yeah, this is a question which I'm super glad you gave me a heads up on, because I would not have been able to answer it at all if you hadn't let me know that it was coming. The development of Spirit Island was over such a long span that there are entire subsystems that I have literally forgotten about until something reminds me, because they didn't make it into the final game. So originally, the idea was that there'd be a huge number of modifiers you could do, like to draw an analogy to current adversaries, you just have this deck of Bane cards, each of which would be like one level of an adversary, and it would give some modifier to the game. And so you could either just draw some randomly, and each would have a difficulty modifier in the upper left. So you could say, oh, I want like difficulty 7. So you just keep flipping cards until you get to around difficulty 7. Or maybe you pick and choose them together. This did not work well for 2 different reasons. First was a mechanical reason, which is that how hard a given change varies a lot with what other changes go with it. Something like Russia's explorers do more damage becomes a lot worse when it also becomes harder to kill explorers. As a simple example. And similarly, there are some difficulty modifiers which can undercut each other. Like if you had something which is like, oh, towns become cities in these circumstances, then something like France's town-based loss condition becomes less of a problem. So mechanically, giving a difficulty estimate was really hard. It was kind of like now, like when you combine 2 adversaries or an adversary in a scenario, the resulting difficulty is sort of an estimate. It was like that, except instead of for 2 things combined, or maybe 3, it was like 4 or 5. So it was this super fuzzy, wiggly estimate. So it didn't work out so well that way. Now that I know a lot more about the game, I look back and I'm like, oh, maybe I've used some sort of like, I don't know, like tag-based system, but it'd still be pretty complicated. It's something.
Yeah.
Not sure if it would work. The other reason was that on a sort of more experiential and thematic level, players just left them in the box. They didn't find them intriguing enough to explore. And so that was also sort of a lost opportunity. So I'm like, okay. And then I had the idea of, okay, why don't we actually make these, because I always had the notion originally, I had the idea of doing historic adversaries, but we'd be like, okay, England is take these 5 Banes and put them together. France is take these 6 Banes and put them together. But instead I'm like, okay, well, what if we just make that be the standard? And, how do we make it so you can scale difficulty? Okay, let's do it in different levels. So you just stack each one on top of the next. And that's how it ended up.
Cool. I had a patron, Josh. Josh gets very frustrated when he gets a fear card that doesn't help him. Did you ever consider any kind of mechanic that was like a default fear effect or something that could prevent something like that?
Yeah, I toyed around with that idea, but it's tricky for a couple reasons. The default effect would need to be, on average, worse than most of the effects, assuming they don't miss. And on average, the terror level 1 effects are already pretty small, so it'd have to be a very, very minor effect.
Yeah.
And adding that degree of choice, like, oh, we have a fear card, so we get to like choose whether thing A or thing B happens, seemed both a little athematic and also like it could drag out decision making. Like if you're resolving multiple fear cards in the invader phase, there's already, okay, this one has us do a thing on each board. Okay, this one has us do a different thing on each board. Like, and that would add another branching decision step to every single fear card which you choose. There are a few fear cards which actually do this. It's just that instead of having it as a game rule, it's on the fear card. There's one, what is it? Flee the Pestilent Land, which at the higher levels, it has a very potent remove effect in lands with disease, but that is likely to miss a lot. And so it has or you can remove a smaller piece from any inland land. So in the cases where there's a Terror 2 or 3 effect, which is much more likely to miss, then it will maybe do something lesser in adjacent lands or some other sort of qualifying land. But like Terror 1 effects, those are a crapshoot. Those may do something nice for you, but relying on them, will get you burned, especially in smaller games where there's higher variance to begin with.
Right. Now that makes sense. I mean, if it's in the design that, hey, these aren't designed to always hit, that makes a lot more sense. The timeline of Spirit Island was something I don't think I fully appreciated until recently. Can you talk about thematically what's going on with the timeline as you go through the game of Spirit Island, and especially go from stage 2 to stage 3?
Yeah, so every turn in Spirit Island represents something on the scale of years. It's not just a couple weeks or a couple months. Exactly how long it is not pinned down for a bunch of reasons, because it depends partly on the size of the island, and the size of the island is deliberately kind of fuzzy. Not just in the sense of like you might be playing with 1 board or you might be playing with 5 boards, but in sort of absolute thematic terms. I deliberately said, okay, the island could in theory be as small as the Caribbean island of Montserrat, or it could be as large as about the size of Madagascar, which is a huge range. And if the island is bigger, then obviously the timescale has to be bigger in order for the same sort of thematic events to transpire. And so there's some wiggle just because of that. I tend to think of it in my head as being sort of between those, because those are, I think, like 3 orders of magnitude different. I can't remember exactly. I looked it up at one point. There's a thread on BGG somewhere. And so I think it's roughly this. So I think, it's the rough order of magnitude of maybe like New Caledonia or something. But usually, so with that fuzziness in mind, at the start of the game, 1 turn is probably around like 1 to 3 years, and then at the end of the game, by the time you're in stage 3, it's probably about 2 to 8 years long. And this is because as spirits get bigger, they get slower. That's sort of a thematic part of the universe, and it's why the most powerful spirits in Spirit Island can't defend the island from the invaders, because they're just beginning to notice the problem by the end of the game.
Right.
The sort of player character spirits are ones. The thematic conceit is that because you have this island which is full of all these spirits, why are there only like 2 or 3 which can help you defend against the invaders? The answer is they're the ones which are in the sweet spot of big enough to have an impact against the invasion, but small enough that they can act on a time scale to handle the invasion. And even so, over the course of the game, these spirits grow, and as they grow, they get slower. But they're kind of, it doesn't kick in immediately. It's like drag forces. Like, you get this, they can start accelerating and then, it starts slowing them down, but they have that sort of, few years grace as they go. So they're sort of running ahead of the curve. But even so, by the end of the game, they are slower than they were. Now, like on a pure thematic level, in theory, this should tie into how many presents they've placed and maybe other factors like how many power cards they have and how much energy they have and a whole bunch of other stuff. But for reasons of simplicity, it's just way easier to say, okay, the spirits are going to grow over the course of the game. We're not going to worry about the exact like nitpicky details of how much they've grown. We're just going to say, okay, they're slowing down. And so the stage 3 cards are 2 terrains, partly perhaps because the adversaries have stepped up their game, but also because the spirits are beginning to slow down. And so the invaders, from their perspective, seem to be operating faster. Exactly how much it's one and how much it's the other is, again, deliberately left extremely fuzzy, because it might be one against one adversary or in one game, or it might be not, like, if you play a game where you're playing lightning and you get caught in a reclaim loop and you don't grow very much, then like maybe in that game it's just the invaders accelerating. But maybe in another game where you're playing spread of rampant green and all the spirits are going roar and getting huge, then maybe in that game the thematic reason for the stage 3 cards amping things up is not that the invaders are going any harder. Maybe they're terrified out of their minds and actually slowing down, but you're slowing down even more.
Sure. That's one of the things that I love about this game, and with the expansions too. It's like we're discovering a land that exists, as opposed to the expansions adding content into a board game. And it just, like, this stuff was always there. We just now have access to it, and it's so brilliant to me as I experience it. You mentioned the island, and we have this like amorphous shape.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Because like I take it for granted now, but when you really look at a board that looks like this is very unusual. Like whose brainchild was this?
So I always sort of knew that I wanted, well, I didn't always know. The very first iteration of the board was not modular. It was a constant size, and the idea was that there would be some mechanics which scaled the spirit abilities based on how many players there were. But I quickly moved away from that and found, okay, no, let's make this a modular board. But I don't want it to be just like squares, because for a very long time, the conceit has been that there's sort of the game has sort of some philosophical underpinnings in its presentation, like the plastic cardboard dichotomy, the things which are, plastic materials versus materials made of wood or paper. And it also has a dichotomy of shape, where the invaders are, boxy, square, the rectangle is sort of invader shape, whereas shapes which are curved or flowing are the more natural shapes. So I'm like, okay, I know that I don't want the boards to be square, both because very few islands in nature are literally a square, and because it shouldn't be for thematic reasons. I started off with these sort of, I don't know how you describe them, these blobby amorphous shapes based off of a hex map. Because I was like, oh, that way you can like turn them any which way and you get all kinds of neat like organic looking island shapes. And I'd always assume like I'll smooth out the hex map once I've got the mechanics down. But that didn't pan out. Like you couldn't combine them in all the interesting ways I wanted. You always ended up with awkward gaps or overlaps. So I'm like, okay, let's just fall back on tessellations. When I was growing up, I had this book of like, I'll call it weird math stuff, because it was all the math which I ended up going into as a computer science major. Like it's all like, graph theory and other stuff. And it included a whole chapter on like tessellations and sort of interesting geometry stuff, and how you can make tessellations, where you start with like this grid of triangles or hexagons or squares or rhombuses. And like you go, okay, you poke one side and then you poke the other side in a corresponding amount. And so I'm like, okay, let me do this. So I just mess around with tessellations on a rhombus, discovered something which sort of worked out, and then had to make the call as to whether or not the board should still line up with itself if you flipped it over. Because it could, if it were a little more symmetrical, then if you flipped it over and offset it by half, then the bumps would slot into the slots well. Right. But as it is, they don't. It's not that symmetrical. And even at that point, I was like, it'd be nice if the back could be a different style than the front. And so I knew, like, okay, mixing front and back isn't going to be a thing. So they don't need to match, and you don't need to be able to flip them over and match them, which let me go a little more organic and make it look a little more natural. So
it's very cool. It's very cool.
The thing I'm super proud of, actually, is that there's set points along each side where a land is allowed to touch the edge, which means that you don't end up with four-way intersections. And more crucially, you don't end up with things which you can't quite tell whether they're four-way intersections.
Right.
You can always tell, like, oh no, these two lands are touching and these two lands aren't. So
that's so interesting. So there's, except the point in the middle of the island.
But that's obviously a point. Like you can tell that is a point.
Right.
No questions there. So yeah, the idea with it didn't, points or no points are fine. It's just being clear, which was really what I wanted to make sure have happen.
Right. No, that's great. True solo versus multi-handed. One of the most interesting parts of this game is you have like lunatics like me that love true solo. I love a co-op, but true solo is where it's at for me. And then there's I need to play more than one spirit at a time, and I will never play true solo, and it's a terrible way to play the game. But the fact that the game allows for both is incredible. But how much playtesting goes into the true solo aspect to make that possible?
So truth be told, it wasn't something that was deliberately focused on. It was something that was very deliberately included. Like from day zero, I wanted this to be a 1 to 6 player game. Because like with a scaling board, why not? But the only rules tweak which was ever necessary was this power targets another spirit, which means it's flatly useless in a solo game. Got to do something about that. But other than that, playing single board, single spirit has its own array of advantages and disadvantages, and it's always been a part of the testing cycle. Like one of the super dedicated playtesters for the base game release, who is now also doing editing for the line, Dylan Thurston, did a whole bunch of solo tests back for the original day, as did a number of other testers. And so it was part of the rotation. Some people have always played single spirit. When I was focusing, doubling down on a particular spirit, I remember did 12 games in a row solo lightning at one point, trying to iron out some kinks. So it was always there. But it was never like a separate project. It was always just one, like, okay, we're going to test one player through N player. We're going to test with all the different adversaries, with all the different spirits, the different scenarios, like just part of getting coverage.
Sure. So I know we started a little bit late. I got one.
No, I'm fine on time if you are.
Serious question, and then I got a couple of goofy ones we're going to throw in. All right. Yeah. Format. The lessening win condition. When I first started playing this game, I'll tell you what, because this is before Branch and Claw, and I'm like, it just felt cheap to me. I don't feel that way anymore because I'm playing at such a level where it's like you're barely winning most of the time.
Yep.
When did I get into the design process? Because I can't think of another game that actually has a similar mechanic.
When was that? So I can't tell you when it was, not without going and doing some really deep note scouring, but I can tell you why it was. Originally, the win condition was always destroy all cities. That was the base win condition starting off. And what it ran into was the problem of blitz victories, where spirit like Lightning or spirit like Thunderspeaker could just go take out the initial city, bang, win. Yeah. And you could get around this by front-loading the game with more cities, but then the mid-game became terribly painful, especially for spirits which weren't fast out of the gate. And you could try and tamp down how much early game power a spirit had, but that sort of reduced the overall diversity of design space and forced okay, you can't have really fast out of the gate spirits, which, okay, that's not so great. And the game didn't start with fear as a mechanic at all. Then fear got added in, but it was a constant progression of benefits. Then it became a variable progression of benefits. And somewhere in there, I'm like, maybe we start off and just say, you can't win by destroying all the cities right off. You have to wait till a later part of the game. And I could have done that by invader stage, but that felt kind of artificial. But doing it by fear felt very organic, where it's like, oh, that makes thematic sense. So let's go with that. Tried it out, and it was like, oh, yes, this is a winner. Let's go.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Well, look, I'm gonna finish my first preview of all the spirits tonight. We'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna use your extra blight that you gave us and take on Prussia right now. What's next for me? What's the first scenario I should be featuring on the channel, and with what spirit?
Oh, first scenario.
Scenario, challenge, anything.
Okay, here's three different couple different things you can do. I mean, there's themed pairs, but everybody does themed pairs. For scenarios, totally do that. I know a lot of people don't try the scenarios because they find that keeping the new rules for the scenario in mind at the same time as adversary rules can be tricky. In which case, I say, like, just combine it with Brandenburg Prussia. Like, you know, it's one of the reasons Brandenburg Prussia is out there, so you don't need to do mental overhead. You know, that's my go-to for, you know, combining adversary with scenario. Although if you can mix it up with the other adversaries too.
Sure.
So let's see. I might say Great River. That gives things a kind of a tower defense-y feel. If you want to go hyper thematic, be aware it'll be swingy, but you could do Despicable Theft plus Powers Long Forgotten if you really want to do the I'm fighting Indiana Jones feel. Now,
Nice.
mind you, I've never tried that combo. I'm recommending that off the top of my head, so I can't guarantee it'll work. So the you know, but that can be a fun one to do.
Sure.
Dahan Insurrection is one which I know a lot of diehard players really enjoy. For a while,
Right.
Ted Vessinis, who is lead developer for things thus far, and Rebecca Vessinis, who did loads of playtesting, started doing games with Brandenburg Prussia 4 or even 5, layered with Dahan Insurrection for a while, which
Right.
blows my mind, because that's, yeah, I don't know. Brandenburg Prussia 4 or 5 just on its own is nice for me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so those are all good. And the other thing I'd suggest trying at some point, if you haven't already, is adding an extra board. Don't do it with Volcano, because it's a lot harder on spirits which have limited mobility. But
Right.
you know, adding an extra board changes the difficulty of the game in a new and interesting way. It forces you to cover territory and have more hot spots, but less bad ones than just amping up the difficulty on a single board. So
I'm pretty sure there'll be a Fractured Days 2 board playthrough coming pretty soon.
oh yeah, that'll be interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And finally, so Mrs. Playthroughs has gone on record and told me I need to try harder to get her to play this game. So I figured there's no better person to turn to for like an assist here.
All right, so you want me to bust out my advice columnist chops here?
Yeah, I know. I need some couples advice.
All right,
She's
so
scowling at me right now, by the way.
oh, sorry, don't. Do not mean to offend. Okay, so the serious answer first is that depends so much on your wife that I can only speculate wildly. Like, you know, maybe it means, hey, like, talk to me about what I might like about this game, but it might also mean not the game. It might mean like, hey, carve out an afternoon for us to play sometime. Do the time organizing, do the logistics, or make dinner for us while I read the rules.
All right.
Or it could also be like, I've seen people who are interested in the game, but there's something counterbalancing that interest. Like, it's kind of long, or it's complex, or you're really experienced at it and that's a little intimidating, or I don't know if I'll play well. And like, finding out, each of those could be relevant for some people and completely irrelevant for others. So knowing like, you know, what it is. So like, if you can figure out why there's ambivalence, address it in a constructive way. If it's like, this looks like this is going to be really long, then promise that you're going to play shoot from the hip style without going into like super long thinky planning, and keep to that promise. If it's like, okay, the teach is really long, then elide everything but the fundamentals, or like, you know, suggest the digital tutorial, which like dumps you right in there. You know, and above all, like, if she, like, the only reason I'm even giving this advice is because she said she told you need to try harder. Because if she genuinely doesn't want to play, don't pressure her. Like, you know, no game is for all people. And there are some folks, Spirit Island's not their game, and that's okay. That's fine.
Now, I will tell you, and this isn't meant in any way to detract from it, because I liked it immediately. I loved it after Branch and Claw, and I loved it on another level after Jagged Earth. But it always surprised me how every time I introduced somebody to it, like at least 3 times, someone bought it on the way home. Like, it's incredible the universal appeal that it has. Because I'm like usually the dork and I play games and no one else cares about the games I play. But this game like really speaks to people. And it's cool. It's really cool. And the support you give to it, you're always active on the forums. The FAQ is amazing.
Thank you.
And all of that, I
I'm proud
really
of that
appreciate. Was that your doing? Because
Yeah.
no other game does it.
Yeah, no, it was my idea and I coded it up. So it's built on a platform called Quirky that a friend of mine is making, which is like a wiki, except the wiki is also a database. So it's programmable in a way which a standard wiki isn't. I mean, there's wikis these days which are nicely object-oriented, and some which have some features along those lines. But this is built from the ground up to be queryable wiki, and so you can do all kinds of awesome stuff with it. So yeah, because I knew like it's a game which has cards which break the rules and has a lot of cards which break a lot of rules. So whenever you get that, you always get like all kinds of edge cases which the designer didn't anticipate, and edge cases which like they did anticipate, but people want to be sure that they're interpreting it correctly. And so I really wanted to have some resource, where people could just whip out a cell phone and have a place which was mobile friendly, which they could look it up, as opposed to needing to like wade through a PDF, because going through PDFs cell phone is such a chore.
Oh yeah, or like even those Board Game Geek threads.
Yeah,
the living FAQ is amazing. It's amazing. But that's right. So I forgot you were a computer programmer, right? Before you.
Yeah, I started programming at the tender age of 8. My third grade teacher had an Apple II in her classroom and taught us to program, and I was like, I want to do that, and like never looked back. Yeah, I was a professional from. I was working summers in college, paid jobs, and didn't really stop until I was, I don't know, like 10, 20 years later. So yeah, that was. I can't say my former life. Like I'm going to consider myself a coder my entire life, and I still, figure like if it's ever important, I can pick up a computer. I'll need to spend some time like scrubbing off the rust, but metaphorical rust, not the programming language rust. But so yeah, no, coding is in my blood. Always will be.
Well, I recommend to anyone watching this. I have listened to every single interview that this man has done on YouTube. They're amazing. There's a ton of great content. I learned so much about this game, so I recommend getting more Eric REUSS in your life. I'm really grateful for your time, and I know you got kids and things to go do. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a break, but I'll give you the final word. Anything you want to say to the rabid fans of this game?
Well, first, thanks to you for having me on. It's great to get a chance to chat. And to all the folks out there who love Spirit Island, thank you so much. I love working on the game, and your support makes it possible for me to do more with the game. And I really, really love being able to make something that I think is awesome and share it with people and find out that they think it's awesome too. That's a wonderful, heartwarming feeling. So thank you all.
Great. All right. We'll be taking a 5-minute break and we'll be back.
Hello. So we are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. The audio should be a lot better now. What I think I figured out was that somehow Eric's computer was feeding the Skype feed through the computer out through his audio, and that's what we were hearing, that echo. And once I was able to turn my mic off, we just had the audio through Skype. I thought it was good enough that it wasn't worth taking another break once I figured it out. Obviously, I'm not the AV expert, but that was super cool. Thank you, chat, for bringing it and being active. I know we didn't get to everyone's questions. We started late, and we already that was supposed to be over by 5:50 originally, and here we are at 6:15. So, and we had a playthrough to do. Fortunately, level 5 Prussia is going to make sure this playthrough is on the shorter side of things, for good or for bad. Yeah, Tony, thanks. I mean, I knew once I figured out the problem, I knew I was going to be able to get the input perfect for the playthrough. It just got a little jacked up for the interview, which is fine. I think Eric's sound was probably coming through better than mine, which is cool because he has better things to say than me anyway. So I think we're all good there. All right, a couple of notes. Obviously, the feedback on my top 10 True Solar Spirits was ridiculous. And definitely appreciated all the rabid fans of the different spirits. I told Eric that one of my favorite, I think what testament to the game and how good his game is that I had, for every one comment that from somebody who thinks I overvalued a spirit, I got 10 from people that feel like I undervalued a spirit, which means all these spirits are really, really, really good. And that's fine. Primarily, I need to take another look at Starlight. Apparently, there's a lot more strength there than I realized. Downpour came up. Had a couple of comments about Keeper being the strongest spirit in the game, so I definitely need to take another look at that. And there was River. I seem to be undervaluing. There seems to be a strategy that makes sense to me. I just need to try it out. Maybe I'll get it on the channel at some point soon. So those are the four. A fifth spirit, I probably was undervaluing Volcano. And then again, that was just from not a lot of plays with Volcano. But in preparing for tonight, I'm like, oh boy. Volcano has an extraordinarily powerful innate. And when you can get to those higher levels, whew, that's going to be pretty sick. So we'll see. We'll see if we can pull it up. But yeah, absolutely, I'm wrong. But still love that name. Yes, against Prussia, Volcano. I find Prussia the easiest adversary against almost all of the spirits, or with all the other spirits. Against Volcano, it might be among the hardest because of how you're really trying to get all your presence out there for that big bopper of a turn to steal the lingo from the chat. So that is the one point. I will definitely take a look at what Eric told me about recommended next playthroughs. We'll get a scenario of some sort on the channel, and then I'll start getting a schedule together of where I want to go from here. But the Spirit Island content will definitely keep on coming. That'll be good. Finally, somebody was mentioned I am getting my nomenclature for this game is wrong. So I was saying sky for a while, it's air, and I was saying sacred places instead of sacred sites. Hopefully no one got too lost with that. Obviously we'll be playing with the new errata. That new errata is pretty huge. I did put a comment on my top 10 True Solar Spirit. It's a pinned comment. Top 10 True Solar Spirits video. It's a pinned comment, so you'll be able to see my initial thoughts about the extra blight. But I understand the reason for the change. I think it's an amazing change, and it really does allow you to do a little bit more development with the spirits before you have to worry about the Blight of the Island effects of the event cards. And I think it really can change the game for the better. So big fan of that, and we'll probably be going up to level 5s and 6s now, because I think the extra blight will make that much of a difference for some of these spirits. Yes, I need to do another one of those. I did. I think it was my second spirit from Jagged Earth. It was a live playthrough. I ended up losing against Russia. I was still learning Russia at the time. I was still learning Downpour. Downpour definitely needs to be featured again. I think that it's a good playthrough. It's worth watching. You know, if you're just trying to, seeing a little bit of it, but it's a very cool spirit, and I definitely need to to take another look at it and come back and give it a little bit of a better showing now that I'm more familiar with the new adversaries and more familiar with Isolate and more familiar with Badlands and things like that. So let's get into setup for Volcano. I'm just going to do the Blight card now that I have this deck in my hand. I rolled a 17. There's only 16 Blight cards, so that's not helpful. 16, 15, 14. We have number 13 thanks to the D20. I'm putting 2 Blight on the board. And we're going to get the extra Blight because Eric gave us all a gift. Our 2021 gift from the designer of Spirit Island. Cool, let's get the Invader deck set. So level 5 Prussia is pretty intense. I'll do all of this and then we'll come back to Volcano's board. So I'm going to roll this. I rolled a 2, so I'm taking out that. I'm going to roll it again. I rolled a 3. I'm going to put that level 3, that stage 3 Invader card aside. We're going to go to the stage 2 Invader cards. I'm going to roll. How many times have I played Volcano? I play each spirit about a dozen times before I get them on the channel. So, I find that I play against every adversary once at level 4. And that's what I've been doing. Like level 4, every adversary at least once. And then for today, I just went back and played another 4 or 5 games against Prussia. So I took out number 5. I'm going to roll this one more time. Number 4 is out. So there you have the stage 2 cards. And then we're going to take out, I'm only going to roll, again, on level 5, we're only using one of these. So I'm just going to get the first one I get. Great, those 3 are out. So we have, our Invader deck is 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, and 4. So yeah, is 12 playthroughs enough? It depends. I mean, the moderate complexity spirits, it's enough that you can have a good idea of what you're doing to be competitive in almost every game. Are you really mastering any spirit in 12 playthroughs? Probably not. Starlight, you're probably going to want to get 12 times 12 to really feel like you mastered that spirit because of how it's built. The thing with Volcano that's interesting is that there's a big difference between, because he's only going to be on one mountain to start. Like obviously board D, that mountain in the middle, is going to be a lot easier. And board E, that mountain in the middle, is going to be a lot easier than like a board B where you have that split mountain, right? Because it just changes your range and how you're doing things. But you usually can get a major power at some point to try to make that work to your advantage. All right, let's I even built a little volcano on the table for you guys. Look at that. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, artiste, it's what I am. Oh, let's get the board and we'll do the rest of this. All right, so I rolled a 1, so we're in board A, which is kind of a tweener. Right? I mean, we have the mountains there, so they're not like totally split, but obviously it's not ideal. You don't really have access to the entire coast if I go here, but if I go there, then again, these are both, I have 3 lands that are 2 away. If I go here, I only have 2 lands that are 2 away. Oh, I guess I have 3 lands that are 2 away no matter which place I go. Which makes sense actually I didn't even thought about how he had to design these so that there was never more than 4 adjacency, and like doing that with the extra boards. Like, dude, I'll tell you what, that guy, I could listen to him talk all day because he's very, very interesting. So it's a good board, not a great board. So I have to decide which of those I'm putting my presence in, and honestly, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. It'll be exciting. Little tension right off the bat. So against Prussia, the only thing that you're doing is you're adding a town to land 3. You're going to add the city to land 2 as normal. There's going to be a town based on the setup icon in land 8. And then we're going to put the Dahan. One of the things that I embarrassed to admit, I was this week old when I realized that there are 4 land types. Every land type has at least 1 Dahan in one of its 2 lands. I'm like, oh, that's really good. And so my mistake of forgetting to place a Dahan or 2 once in a while, that's going to be really hard to make now, because I'm like, all right, so those are the jungle Dahan, that's the wetland Dahan, that's the 1 mountain Dahan, and then we have the 2 sands Dahan. We get a blight in land 4. We're going to put our disease in land 2, and then we have our beast in the lowest number land without a pre-printed setup icon, which will be land 1. The fear deck for level 5 Prussia is 445. Shroud all day. The new, yes. Tony's talking to Edgar's. Yeah. You guys took care of it. All right. All right, whatever. Sarah's telling me everyone took care of it. But yes, the issue with the blight that Eric realized is that the amount of usable blight scaled to the negative when you were playing true solo or playing two-handed as opposed to playing three or four-handed. The intention was that there's 2 usable blight per player in the game, and by adding 1 blight at the very beginning of the game, it allows you to get that that dynamic, and it's pretty cool. Again, that 1 extra usable blight before the island goes blighted is really, really nice. All right, the fear deck is 4/4/3 at level 5. Bam. So I got 3 fear cards at the bottom. I got the the terror level 3 divider, 4 fear cards, terror level 2 divider, 4 fear cards. Cool. That is done. I'm going to shuffle up the event deck. So I have my obviously my event deck in red sleeves. I have my major powers in blue sleeves. I have my minor powers in green sleeves. Cool. So we're going to shuffle out the major powers. We'll try to get a major power probably around turn 4. And if everything goes according to plan, which it rarely does in this game, I will hope to be doing a major eruption by destroying 6 presents as we enter into during the fast power phase of turn 5. When everything goes really well, that is usually how I win. I'm able to do a big eruption during the fast power phase of turn 5, right? So that's the thing with Prussia. Again, if everything goes well, Prussia's, they're moving really fast, but again, if you're blowing everything up on turn 5, it doesn't matter how fast they move, you should be in pretty good shape. And we can go from there. All right, so 1 more shuffle for the minor powers, and then we will get ourselves into discussing Volcano. All right, Volcano Looming High. Story time with Greg, a spirit of fire and earth stretching upwards to the sky, casting a long and dangerous shadow across the land. The deeper spirits of volcanism are too powerful and slow, too removed to respond to the invaders, but not so this one. It doesn't dislike humans per se, but neither does it have much use for them, so the Dahan tend to keep away from it as much as possible, and will not quarry stone in its shadow. Of course, larger eruptions can impact a good chunk of the island, so they sometimes end up dealing with its temper, whether they want to or not. Alright, so we're going to put a presence and a Badlands into the... Man, I think I do land 1. It puts these 3 in makes these 3 a problem. But I think that it makes some sense. I think it makes a little more sense than land 6. But yeah, we'll see. All right, land 1. Great. So there's no Dahan there anyway, so I don't have to push them again, because just like if you read the story, the Dahan try to not be where it is, because there's, obviously there's a volcano and lava burns, last I heard. So they are trying to, I would have to push that. So I'm going to put up Badlands, and clearly we have some kind of volcanic mountain goat that decides to hang out with me in that land. So bigger eruptions, they're kind of going through the presence here. Offense is off the chain with Volcano. It uses wilds, it uses Badlands, and then basically you're just trying to build up for 1 huge turn and doing trying to get like good turns in the interim, right? You can't just do nothing for 4 turns and expect to win on turn 5. So the question is, how can we minimize the damage done by the invaders until we get to that turn 5, until we can do the big eruption, until we can win the game that way. Unique powers, there are 4. They range from 2 are fast, 2 are slow. They range from 1 to 3 cost. Exaltation of Molten Stone is a fast power. It has all of them have a fire and an earth. In addition, Exaltation of Molten Stone has a moon tag. You can split 1 energy per fire element you have between yourself and target spirit. So you're supposed to target another spirit, but as we just talked about with Eric, to make this possible for true solo, you can target yourself instead. So the nice thing is you're not splitting energy, you're getting all the energy benefit yourself, but you do not get the target spirit gains +1. So again, you target yourself, you get this, but the target spirit, actually maybe you would get that actually, because you're the target spirit, right? So you also can get +1 with your powers that originate from a mountain. I'm not going to really need that or worry about that too much. Slow power, lava flows. It is a range 1 power. Targets another land. You can add a Badlands and a Wilds or do 1 damage. Rain of Ash, it costs 2 energy to play. It has the elements we talked about. In addition, it has an air element. I said it right this time. Woo! All right, slow power, range 1, target land any, 2 fear if invaders are present, and then you have to, this isn't up to, you have to push 2 Dahan, or do 2 Dahan, or as many Dahaners there if they're not 2, so if there's 1, so 1 or 2, and 2 explorers and or towns. So you can do that in any combination as long as you push, as long as you push 2 to lands without your presence. And then finally, it's a 3-cost card, Pyroclastic Bombardment. It has the 2 elements we've been talking about, plus an air. It's a fast power, range 2 from a sacred place, target land any, 1 damage to each town, city, and Dahan, 1 damage, and then 1 damage to Dahan. So if there's a Dahan there, that Dahan is if there's at least 1 Dahan there, that Dahan is not surviving this power. So at least one of them is going to die. That's very sad. All right. Special rules. You can only have your presence on mountains. So you can only, you can't move it. So unless you pick up the, what's that one major power where it's like the Indomitable Claim, unless you have Indomitable Claim, you are stuck only having your presence on mountains. So all my presence will be in 1 or 6 this game. Collapse in a blast of lava and steam. When your presence is destroyed in that land, deal 1 damage per destroyed presence to both invaders and Dahan, right? So if I had a presence here and I destroyed it, well, say I started here and I destroy this presence, it's going to do 2 damage, right? Because of the Badlands, 1 damage. If any damage is done, Badlands trigger, therefore it'll be 2 damage, and the Dahan goes bye-bye. So again, it's something to be aware of, but again, no Dahan in land 1 to start. Volcanic peaks tower over the landscape. Your power cards gain +1 range if you have 3 or more presence from in the origin land. That is only the power cards. That does not affect your innate powers. It has to be power cards. Right, now it could be any power cards. It's not just your unique powers. It could be any power cards that you gain as well. Additionally, so this should be a little brighter than in my old playthroughs. I did just add another LED camera or light right behind me. So hopefully people can see my hands better than in my previous videos. All right, I digress. Growth options. There are 3 growth options. First one is reclaim cards, gain a power card, gain 3 energy. Second one is add 2 presence in a place where you already have presence. Not that big of a deal when you're only putting presence in 1 place for the most part. And the third one is gain a power card, add a presence, get +1 card play this turn, and gain 3 energy. I will almost inevitably be doing that the first 3 turns. That is how I like to do an opening with Volcano. I'm sure somebody has a link to a better opening. This is the one that I have found most effective for me. Situation might dictate that I vary from that plan, but my plan is to use that growth option 3 times to start this game, and we'll go from there. All right, presence. 1 energy a turn, 2 energy a turn. The presence track. So the energy track is 1, 2, earth, 3, 4, 5. The card play track is 1, fire, earth, 2 card plays, air, 3 card plays, fire, and 4 card plays. That +1 card play a turn ability will come in very big, especially as we start to try to unlock the innates, because they are very element intensive. Let's get to them. Innate powers. Explosive eruption is a fast power, range 0, target land any. Well, anywhere you have presence, right? It's a range 0. So basically target land mountain. Destroy X 1 or more. So you can destroy 1 presence to trigger this power. Why would you want to do that? We'll come back to that. Destroy X of your presence in target land, and then you want to check below to see which of the thresholds that you have unlocked, right? So there's 2 kinds of thresholds. This is similar to many mines. You have the elemental threshold, and then you have the how many presence did you destroy threshold. So if I destroy 3 presence, I'm sorry, if I have 3 fire and 3 Earth, but I only destroy one presence, I'm obviously not going to be able to unlock the second tier. So basically it's 2 fire, 2 earth, destroy 2 presence. In 1 land within range 1, you can do X damage. 3 fire, 3 earth, 4 presence that destroyed, you get X damage equal to how many presence you destroyed. If you have 4, 2, 4 and destroy 6 presence, in each land within 4, you do 4 damage. Now that's in addition to the amount of damage that you did in the first threshold, right? So they stack very, very nicely. But you also have to add 1 blight to the target land. Doing so does not destroy your presence, which is important. So you definitely want to try to keep any blight from land 1, because when I do that big explosion, I'm going to want to be able to not have to worry about blight cascade, because that's a good way to put yourself in a place where you can't ever get to that big volcanic explosion that you want. The final threshold is 5, 3, 5, and 10. I've never done it. I'm sure you could do it in a co-op game a lot easier. It's really hard, but then in that case you can do an additional 4 damage in each land adjacent to the target, and it's also plus 4 damage. Right, no, so in each land within 2 you do plus 4 damage, and then in each land adjacent to the target you have to add a blight. So that could also be very blight intensive too. So in a solo game that's not going to really work. Your other power is powered by the furnace of the earth. If you have 3 earth, you get to put 1 of your destroyed presence back. That's a really nice mechanic. If you have 3 fire, you can spend 2 to gain a power card. I will definitely be trying to do that in turn number 2. If you have 4 earth and 4 fire, you can move up to 2 of your presence from other lands to your target land. And if you have 5 fire, you can return up to 2 of your destroyed presence to your presence tracks. So again, unlikely to be worrying about that too much either. So I'm going to put all this on the tracks. Cool. Chat's looking good. All right, done and done. Going to, I already have my presence on the board. I think we're set. Am I missing anything? Oh, I think we're good. Get her done. Let's go. Yeah, we're good. So we're going to do the last step of setup. We're doing the initial explorer action. Here we go. Boom, mountains. Oh, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing to see. Things that make Greg happy for a million. Cool. So we're going to do that and that. All right, my first turn is going to be very boring. I'm going to add 2 presents. I'm going to add 1 from the energy track, 1 from the card players track. I'm going to put them both in land 1 because I have to and I want to anyway. I'm going to play 1 card. It is Lava Flows. Presence track, I get, well, never mind. Let's do this systematically. So that is my growth phase. We go to the presence phase. I'm going to get 2 energy from the energy track, and I'm going to use 1 of those 2 energy to play Lava Flows. If I'll do an element check just to be thorough, I'm going to put I have 2 fire elements, 1 from my track, 1 from the card, and I have 1 earth or mountain element, so that will go there. All right, we are now going to, that is earth, right? It's earth, not mountain, right? Somebody check that on me. Check that for me. I'm pretty sure it's earth. Now I'm all in my head now because I'm saying things wrong and I want to make sure I'm saying them right. So the good thing about keeping the 3 there, I could destroy this presence. Again, why would I want to destroy the presence? Well, it's not going to unlock any of my thresholds here, but it would trigger collapse in a blast of lava and steam. So if I took a presence off there now, it would allow me to destroy that explorer, right? But I want to leave that sucker in there, because I want to keep 3 presence, because that 3 presence is going to allow me to get range 2 with Lava Flows because of Volcanic Peaks tower over the landscape. So there's some really nice synergy with the special rules for Volcano. All right, so I'm going to leave the 3 presence there. I'm not going to do Explosive Eruption. Now wait, I don't have 2 and 2. Great, you don't need 2 and 2. You don't even need to worry about the elemental thresholds to destroy your presence. Right? The elemental thresholds are only if you want to actually do the rest of the rules of the innate power. So literally at this point, even though I only have 2 fire and 1 earth, I can destroy this presence and I can trigger collapse in a blast of lava and steam. All right, I probably over-explained that, but you know, just being thorough. Great. So we go to the invader phase. Blighted Island effect, there is none, obviously, just started. And now we go to the event card. Oh, Rules of Jagged Earth. We just discarded and do not carry that out at all. Great. Fear cards, obviously have none. Invader actions, Ravage Step, nothing happening. Build Step, we're going to get a town in land 6, and we get a town in land 1. Cool. We're going to do the Explore Step. Oh, it's a level 3 card. How fun is that? So we're going to get a Explorer in land 4. We're going to get an Explorer in land 7. Visit Sands and Mountains. We get an Explorer in land 6. Ooh, this got really interesting. And we get an Explorer in land 1. This moves along. Okay. So now we get slow powers. I have a couple options here. I think it's going to make sense just for me to pick off this Explorer, as much as I do like adding extra Badlands and Wilds. But I'm worried about, I'm already going to be worried about the Blight threshold, right? Because I know that I'm going to be putting a Blight on the board when I do my big innate power. I think it's going to make some sense just to knock this thing off, prevent the build there. Don't have to worry about a Blight and Cascade in land 4. And it's going to allow me to just kind of continue. I'll be able to take care of land 1. Land 6 and 7 will Blight, but I should be okay otherwise. Yo. You can just straight up show your presence, yes. Because if you read Explosive Eruption, it's like destroy X presence. That gives you the ability. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Tom. What Tom said. Tom's right. All right. That endorsement of Tom is brought to you by Solo Playthroughs. We're going to go to the next turn. Time passes. Nothing needs to heal. Everyone is happy. And so we're going to go to my second turn. What am I going to do? I'm going to do growth option 2. I'm going to put 2 more presents on land 1. There's now 5 presents there. It's a lot more more impressive when you can stack these as a big tower. Obviously that's not great for video from an overhead camera, so I'll just I'll keep them spread out like this, and we'll go from there. The land is lava. Yes, it is. Great. So we go to the presence phase. I'm going to get 2 energy. I am going to play Rain of Ash, which costs me 2. And I'm going to play Exaltation of Molten Stone, which cost me 1. So what do I have here? I have 2 fire, and I have 3 earth. And I guess, yeah, I don't want this to blight. So I guess I just go ahead and destroy all of these suckers. And that will be fine. So first I'm going to do Exaltation of Molten Stone. I'm targeting myself. I split 1 energy between the target spirit, well that's myself, and myself. So I'm going to split energy between myself and myself. I have, oh, I actually have 3 fire. Math is hard. Counting, this counting thing is difficult. So I'm going to take 3 energy from Exaltation of Molten Stone. Done. I have unlocked, because I have 3 and 3, I can add a presence with Powered by the Furnace of the Earth, and I can gain a power card. If I spend 2, I will do both of those things for sure. But again, that is a slow power. But the innate power I have unlocked over here is Explosive Eruption. Great. In 1 land, so target land, I'm going to target land 1. I'm going to destroy 2 presents. Alright, that immediately triggers Collapse in a Blast of Lava and Steam. That does 2 damage. So 2 damage, and then Badlands triggers, it actually is a 3rd damage that generates my first fear. Then I get the threshold, because I destroyed 2 presents. I get the 2 fire and the 2 earth. In 1 land within range 1, I get to do X damage. I'm going to do 2 damage, and I'm going to destroy that Explorer. Now note, that would not have triggered Badlands again, because Badlands only triggers once an action. And this special rule of Collapse in a Blast of Lava and Steam is like a nested action. So it's a nested reaction within the same action. So since it's still the same action chain, Badlands doesn't re-trigger. It only re-triggers it once. I used Lava Flows. I did. I destroyed an Explorer in land 4. Yes. Yes. Sands. Yes, cool. Thank you for checking. Got it. So that is my fast powers, and now we're going to go to the invader phase. I'm going to, yeah, I only generated that one fear, which is lame. So I have 2 destroy presence. I'll keep that here. And then we're going to see what this is. It is Cities Rise. Healthy island or healthy land on each board, and the land with the most towns. Replace 2 towns with 2 cities. If there is only 1 town, instead replace it with a city. Well, that's fantastic. It doesn't really matter. I'm blighting here anyway, and I'm gonna build there this turn anyway, so I'm just gonna make that town into a city. And the good thing is I only have 1 town here, 1 town here, 1 town there, so I was able to choose. So the most towns was land 6, and it only had 1, so I just basically made 1 town into 1 city. Fine. Beast, chase off the homesteaders, push up to 2 explorers or 1 town from a land with Dahan. And when invaders ravage, if the land has Dahan, defend 2. Well, I'm going to defend 2 on land 6 because that's going to be really exciting for me. And we'll go from there. All right, what's happening? We're ravaging in land 6. So we blight. Dahan is dead. And that defend did nothing for me because it was ravaging 5. And even if I left the town there, it was still ravaging 4. So I was toast either way. That's fine. We're going to now build. Where are we building? We're going to build in land. We're building in sands and mountains. So nothing to build in 1, nothing to build in 4. We're putting a town into land 6. So that might blight Cascade, which is not great. And we're putting a town into land 7. Well, still not in an awful position. So that is the fast powers. I've already advanced the invader cards. No, I did not. Sorry. Explore step. Wetlands. Well, that changes some things I was thinking. So we're exploring into wetlands, but before we do that, we have to do the stage 2 escalation on each board with towns and cities, obviously ours. We are adding a town to a land without a town. I will put this in land 1 because I can destroy that easily in the fast power phase, and now I'll be fine. And then I need to explore, finish the explore step. We're going to get 1 explorer into land 2 and 1 explorer into land 2 and then 1 explorer into land 5. Now the invader cards advance. I'm going to do my slow powers. So I want to do powered by the furnace of the earth. I'm going to target land 1. I add a destroyed presence. Now there's 4 there. And now we're going to gain a power card. It's going to cost me 2. So I'm going to get a minor power. My options are this. Now look, making sure the hardest part about unlocking the 3rd threshold with explosive eruption from a elemental standpoint is getting that 4th fire. So any minor power with a fire is automatically probably going to move to the top of the line for me. Fortunately, 3 of these 4 powers have fire. I'm highly unlikely to take this one, right? So we'll start there. My options are teeming rivers. It has a sun, a water, a plant, and an animal. Slow power, range 2 from a sacred place. Target land is a mountain or a wetland. If target land has no blight, add a beast. If target land has exactly 1 blight, remove it. Blight removal is nice, but again, I don't see a way that I can possibly take that. The shore seas with hatred. So you have to target a coastal land. 1 fear, add a badlands and a wilds. Don't hate that. Very similar to lava flows, but there's some benefits there. The gift of living energy. Target spirit gains 1 energy, +1 if you target a spirit who's not yourself. If you have at least 2 sacred places, that's just, all right, I'm done reading that. And then call to migrate. Gather up to 3 Dahan. Push up to 3 Dahan. It has the fire, but does not have anything else. I do find it intriguing. For a couple of reasons. I mean, really, I can put, I'm trying to think ahead. If I use this on the next turn, I can actually get, I can get 5 Dahan into here, the combination of Rain of Ash and Call to Migrate. and it would be ravaging at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 Dahan would survive. They retaliate. Yeesh. I think that's the one. Let's try to make some use of these Dahan here. And that setup's not great. Could do the Shore Seas with Hatred. Try to set myself up to, if I put a Badlands in there, oh, that's probably smarter. It's not going to build. I could put a Badlands there next turn, and then I could use the first threshold of Explosive Eruption and wipe out that city before the next ravage. And it has the mountain and the fire. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. The Shore Seas with Hatred, and that's fine. So I've gained that power. And now we have Rain of Ash. Hesitant to push all of this into here for the obvious reason that then it would build a city next turn. But I want to protect land 7 next turn because I can't really protect land 6, and that's going to Blight and Cascade, which is fine. But I'm going to Rain of Ash has a range of 1, but I have 3 presence in land 1, so it actually has a range of 2. So I can push to get 2 fear because invaders are present, and then I have to push the 2 Dahan, and I have to push the 2 these 2 into lands without my presence. I'm going to push all of these into land 8. I had a vote for Hatred. Yep, winner. Good. It took me a little bit to get there, but yeah, it's kind of it's too good thematically with how Volcano is structured here. So the bigger problem is I'm probably going Blighted Island because the back-to-back mountain is a problem. But again, it's really common to get back-to-back something when you're playing against Prussia because that level 3 card, that stage 3 card comes right off the top. But that's fine. All right, my slow powers are done. We are now going to go to my next turn. What am I doing? I'm doing growth option 2. I'm adding 2 more presents. Ding and ding. So now I have 6 presents in land 1. Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill this town. That's fine. All right, and then I get we go to the presence phase. I get 3 energy from presence track. We are going to play Pyroclastic Bombardment and the Shore Seas with Hatred. Seethes is a hard word for me to say. So that is fine. Partially because it's really cold in here because I turned the heat off because of you all. So, yeah, my microphones do not like my HVAC system here. All right, FYI, behind the scenes, you get all the information here at Solo Playthroughs. Let me look at my, and I might, this is unusual for how I usually play this game, but I could. No. Problem is, like, if I try to go all out, no, I could kill that with Pyroclastic Bombardment. If I do 1, 2, 3, if I do 6 damage into land 6, I have the 3 fire, I have the 3 earth, I have the 1 sky. It's not going to matter this turn, but I will start tracking it. I actually have 4 earth because there's 2 earth on here. My options are I let that Blight Cascade, whatever, and then I save up for a bigger eruption. My other option is I use Pyroclastic Bombardment, and I basically team that up with Explosive Eruption, and I try to wipe out everything in land 6 now. But the reality of that is if I do that, then I'm going to actually, this measly little town is going to do 2 damage and cause a blight in land 1, which makes me concerned. So I probably kind of stick with the program as planned. Question I really have is, do I use Pyroclastic Bombardment just to wipe out this Explorer? Which is, I'm spending 3 energy to wipe out an Explorer, which is not great. But I think that's gonna make some sense because I'm gonna be worried about blight. Yo. Pyro plus erupt would, yeah, I could clear land 6, but then I wouldn't additionally be able to clear land 1, and that's a big concern for me. Yeah, man, it's a lot of energy just to wipe out one explorer, but I think that's what I have to do. Just to try to keep. I know I'm getting 2 blight from land 6, and if I can keep myself from having a build situation and having to deal with land 5 next turn, that could be really helpful. Doesn't kill the big place, automatically kill the town. Oh, yeah. It does. Right, yeah. No, they were both saying the same thing. They were both saying the same thing. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that is the. I guess I have to do that then. And then it just builds here, but I can kind of deal with that next turn. All right, let's do that. Cool. All right, pyroclastic bombardment. So I do 1 damage to each town here. And then I could destroy. So then we do explosive eruption. Yeah, I always forget the way those stack is pretty sick. All right, so if I do want to try to save as many as possible here. So if I do 4 damage, I wipe out. I just leave 1 explorer, and then I just hope I don't get unlucky with a blight card that adds to my my nightmare here. So destroying 4 also will give me a fear card, which is nice. So we're going to do explosive eruption. I'm destroying 4 presence in land 1. And then that's going to allow me to do collapse and a blast of lava and steam, which destroys this sucker. That gives me a fear card. Then we carry out the rest of explosive eruption. So the first threshold, I obviously met that because I destroyed 4 presence. In 1 land within range 1, I do 4 damage. So 2 damage kills the city, again, because I've injured the city and the town because of pyroclastic bombardment. Oh, I have another damage to do there. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so it's 1 damage to each city and town, plus 1 damage. I'll use that to destroy an explorer. And then I'm doing 4 damage because of that's how many presence I destroyed to do 4 more damage here. So the city had 2 more life, the town had 1 more life, and this explorer, that's 4 damage. All of them are toast but ghost. It's 3 fear. And then the second threshold, since I have 3 fire and I have 3 earth, I'm going to be able to get 4 fear on top of that. So that is just equal to a fear card. And I know it really tilts some people that you're supposed to like flip over the fear cards in the order that you get them. So to make sure I do that, instead of taking the whole stack and flipping it over that way, I just put them on the bottom of the stack. All right. It works out the same, I promise. So that was a lot stronger than I expected. We might not get the big bopper of a turn, but I think that that made more sense in my turn. Thanks for the chat assist. You guys are amazing. Fast powers are done. Blighted Eye on the defect. There is none. We're still healthy. And we get the event card. It is Harvest Bounty, Harvest Dust. So stage 1 or 2. We are stage 2. If the island is healthy on each board, choose a land with cities and towns and rapids there. Okay, jerk. Great. I'm going to choose land 3. Oh, wait. I'm going to make sure I still have this ability and I have that ability before I forget. All right. So land 3 is Ravaging. That puts a blight on the board. That destroys 1 of my Dahan, and then I get to kill that town because the surviving Dahan retaliates. That gives me another fear, which gives me another fear card. Dunskies. All right, now we go to the token event, Explorer's Blunder. On each board, destroy 2 explorers among lands with Beast. I don't have any explorers among land with Beast, and then coordinated strikes in each land with 3 Dahan or more, 2 damage and defend 2. Well, that's not happening either. Fear cards. We have 3 of them. First one, the Tread Carefully. The fear level, terror level 1. Each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to at least 5 Dahan. Invaders do not ravage there this turn. Useless. Alright, Spreading Timidity. Each player chooses a land to isolate. That's interesting. I'm going to isolate land 8. And Moderate buffer, yeah. I know it's so much better that way. Like, maybe my brain like wasn't seeing the obvious because I was like trying to force myself to do the big bopper like I originally planned. But that's fine. We have a way to maybe get back there. I'm isolating land 8. The benefit of that, oh no, it's building in land. Oh, if this removes an explorer, that'd be so great. Oh, that'd be so great. I am isolating land 8. I'm hoping that this card allows me to remove this explorer because then there would be nothing, there would be no source of explorers in land 7, 5, or 6, which would be really awesome. I mean, alternatively, I could just isolate land 3 because that's somewhat problematic. I mean, that's range 2 from everything I have. But then you're just like gambling you know, you just, I mean, if obviously if I knew this was sands, then I would isolate land 8, but again, there's still going to be a source for sands because of land 5. All right, I'll isolate 3. I think that makes the most sense. It's going to be, it's range 2 from everything. Or actually it's 7. There's already a blight on there. That could get ugly quick. All right, so I isolate land 3, and then we have on each board remove oh yeah, no, one of them worked. Remove an explorer from a land matching a Ravage card. The only explorer on the board that matches a Ravage card is none of them. So that's great. We get Eric back. I want to make him rethink this. No basic benefit of fear cards here. All right, ravaging in. Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, Alex is right. Yeah. Cool. We're ravaging sands. We're ravaging mountains. Nothing there. We're building in wetlands. We get a town in land 5. The disease comes off land 2. The explore step. Mountain. Fine. We put a town in a land that has no towns. I'm putting it in land 1 for obvious reasons, and then I'm exploring into land 6 and exploring it into land 1. So it just did not matter where I put this isolate, which is about how that normally goes. And we move these over. I'm going to add. This is going to blight. That's fine. I'm going to get 1 fear from the shores seeds with hatred, and then I'm adding a Badlands, and I'm adding a Wilds. And yeah, we'll have to. Oh, that Dahan's gonna die when I do explosive eruption, isn't it? Oh shoot, I can't even do explosive eruption next turn. Yeah, again, never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, now that power is done. We do powered by the furnace of the earth. I add a presence into land 1. And then gain a power card, but I would need to spend 2 energy, and I am energyless, very exhausted with my mini bopper here. Growth option. I am doing growth option 1. I'm reclaiming my power cards. I'm gaining 3 energy. I'm going to put the 3 energy from the presence track on the board just now so I don't forget. And now we get to gain a power card. I'm going to gain a major. Alright, so my options are sleep and never waken, but it requires that I have presence in the sands, non-starter. Thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. It does not have a fire, so it makes me already skeptical, but it has, I don't know if I'm getting to the big bopper anyway, but it has an air and a plant. Fast power, target range 2 away from where you have a sacred place. Target land has to be inland. 2 damage, then either add a sacred place or remove a blight, and if you have 3 plants, 1 fear and plus 2 damage. Flow like water, reach like air. It has an air and a water. Target spirit gets plus 2 with all their powers. Target spirit may push one of their presence to an adjacent land. Really can't do much of that. Just not really feeling that card. Transform into a murderous darkness. It has all the elements I need except for the earth, but I already have 2 earth from my track, so I'm not that worried about it. Target spirit may choose one of their sacred places. In that land, replace each of their presence with Badlands. That's not worth it. Not really going to make sense for me to get rid of all my presence in land 1, and obviously I would need to get presence in land 6, and I would lose the game otherwise. So, by process of elimination, we have thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. Awesome. which I don't hate, and it only costs 3, and I can wipe out that explorer, that town, and save myself some issues here. The real question is if I want to get greedy, try to wipe out this town and destroy 2 presence and wipe out this city, which would be super interesting because then I have 1 presence left on the board because I again am adding no presence. Sure. So I have 2 card plays. I already have my 6 energy for the turn. Thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. I'm going to need to make sure I play a card with a fire if I have any intention. Oh, I don't even need to do that. Oh, I have to forget a power, by the way. Yeah, before I forget, I will forget. So as I gained a major, I'm going to forget Exaltation of Molten Stone. I think that makes the most sense for me to forget. The Shore Seas. I'll forget the Shore Seas with Hatred. Exaltation of Molten Stone could be a really nice source of energy here. That's going to destroy that. Yeah, let's go all out. So I have the 6 energy. I'm going to spend it all. Because I think that makes some sense. Great. So I have 1, 2 fire. I have 2 sky. Yep, it was. Did it. Got there. I usually get there, guys. So, not always. You've seen enough of my playthroughs by now. For those of you who have. So that's fine. I appreciate the lookout, though. Great. Let's do this. So I'm going to use... I do have 3 earth, which is important because I can add a destroyed presence. I'm going to use Pyroclastic Bombardment. 1 damage to each city and town in land 2. I'm going to destroy... It's ravaging there. No, that's better. I'll use this. No, I don't have a... Still probably better. Can leave just Dahan alive. Yeah. So I'm going to use Pyroclastic Bombardment. I'm going to do 1 damage to a town. Again, within 2 where I have a sacred place. 1 damage to a Dahan. There are no Dahan. No cities. I'm doing 1 additional damage. I destroy that town. Generate a fear. And then 1 more damage to Dahan. There are no Dahan. Cool. Thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. 2 with range 2 from where I have a sacred site. I know I just said place. It's a sacred site. I'm doing 2 damage. Since I'm doing some damage, the Badlands triggers. Oh, shoot. The Badlands is going to mean that this explorer is going to kill that town, that Dahan. And it's not going to retaliate anyway. So check that. I'm going to reverse what I played where. I'm going to do... ...2 damage. I don't think it's not going to matter. I think both the explorers are going to live. Both are going to live. Yeah, Matt's the same either way. Great. So then I'm going to do... go back to the... So I'm going to do 2 damage. Because of the Badlands, it becomes 3 damage. That city's dead. I get the terror level 2. Unfortunately, that Dahan is going to die at the hands of this explorer, but there's really nothing I can do about that. And then since I did that, then either remove a blight or add 3 wilds. I will obviously add 3 wilds because there is no blight there. Oh, wait, I have to target an inland. I'm sorry, guys. I'm the worst. We're going back. Target land is inland. Read everything. Ultimately, it's the same thing either way, except this Dahan is dead. So Pyroclastic Bombardment I used here. It killed the city because it did 1 damage, and then Badlands triggered, and then another damage, and it did 2 damage to the Dahan, and then Thicket erupts with every touch of breeze, did 2 damage to land 5, which destroyed the town, and then I added 3 wilds. right? We're good. So both these explorers, there's no way to make the math work to kill either of those explorers, especially considering this has a target in inland, which is totally fine. All right. Now I'm gonna do explosive eruption. I'm gonna destroy one presence. And what's gonna happen there? That does 1 damage to, because of collapse in a blast of Blop and Steam, that does 1 damage to the town. Badlands triggers 2 damage. That's another fear. So that's done. And then the only power I have left is Power by the Furnace of the Earth, which is a slow power where I can add a destroyed presence back. Cool. All right, so I have I'm 2 towns away from somehow winning this game. We're going to go to the event card. Population rises. Add 1 town to a land with explorers or towns. The problem is if I add it here, or here, it makes a city, which I'm not really excited to do. If I add it here or here, then it's going to ravage and I'm going to get some blight. So neither of those is great. I guess I'm adding it into land 8. Awesome. Try to get some badlands in there next turn, I think, and we'll see how that goes. All right. The Sand Fever Outbreak. On each board, add a disease to the sands or mountains with the most cities or towns, minimum 1. Oh, well, never mind. I'm going to add this town here because I can. Again, you can read the whole event card. So population rises, add a town to a land with explorer or town. I added a town there. And now sands or mountains with the most towns, minimum 1. Well, that's going to be number 1. So now I can add a disease. Great. That works better. Now offerings of patterns and dance. Each spirit with at least 2 Dahan among its lands. No, that's not happening. We can stop reading right now. Fear card, terror level 2. The Dahan raid. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan, 1 damage per Dahan there. Obviously, I'll be choosing land 8. 2 damage because there's 2 Dahan. Generates a fear, kills a town. Awesome. Ravaging. Ravaging 1. Now again, the Badlands don't trigger against the land. They only trigger against the Dahan, but the Dahan was already killed because of Pyroclastic Bombardment. I eventually got there. So that is fine. 1 damage here is fine. We're building. The disease comes off land 1. We're building a town in land 6. So 3 towns away from calling this a day. We now go to the explore step. Jungles. We're going to have to do the escalator. The escalation, stage 2 escalation. I'm going to put a town in land 6. We're going to have so this puts 4 towns on the board. It has to go to a land that doesn't have a town. I'll put it in land 5. And then we're going to successfully explore into land 8 and successfully explore into land 3. Invader cards advance. Dunskies. Slow power. Power by the Furnace of the Earth. I can put 1 of my destroyed presence back into a land where I already have presence. So we have 3 presence back in land 3. Time passes. Nothing has to heal. We now need to pick our growth option. All right. I think it makes sense just to try to get a bunch of money, a bunch of energy, and play all 3 cards, and then I can reclaim my cards and try to go from there. Only have 2 card plays next turn though, which should be fine. Should be fine. I'm not gonna be able to get up to that 6. This is building a city, which is something I'd like to prevent. Definitely want to reclaim my cards here. Not the coast to with the Badland. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're I don't know what that comment's referring to, Tom. We just got the Explorer on land 3 and the Explorer on land 8 and the Explorer step. All right. I'm going to add I'm going to do growth option 3. I think I... Wouldn't it be insane to gain a major? Gosh, the city is bad. Definitely want to do those 3. There's nothing I want to forget though. The problem here. Where are we risking going? Blighted Island. We're risking going Blighted Island there. That's the argument to do this. Get a lot of energy, and then I could do a lot of things I want to do this way. Town. Oh, instead of adding this here, add it here. Yeah, the problem is it was a stage 2 card, and I didn't want to. I didn't know if like coastal lands was coming up, but I mean, there's a point there. Plus, I'm not sure if I'm going to start moving my presence into land 6. But I guess it's adjacent either way. Nah, I think we're good, because again, if a coastal land came up, the wilds come off, and all you have is that one explorer, and I just don't need to worry about it as much. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that, but I definitely see what you're saying. All right, I'm actually gonna do growth option 2. I'm going to add. I want to add the earth. Yeah, it's fine. So I'm going to add 2 more presents to the land 1, because I'm about to do another mini eruption. All right, I get 4 energy because of the presence track. I'm going to split this up, get 3 energy. I'm going to put 2 energy on Rain of Ash, 1 energy on Lava Flows. All right, we're going to. I have 3 fire, 4 earth. Ooh, I can get a power card. Forget the first major. Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking at right now. Is if I get 5 energy and don't uncover the air, I will have 2 energy to get a power card in the slow power phase, and I think that makes life a lot more efficient. And depending on my money situation, there is an argument to play Exaltation of Molten Stone just to have a bunch of energy to do 3 powers next turn. I think I'll do that. Yeah, it's fine. All right. So I'm going to play. Well, then if I do that, then I actually don't need. I can do this instead. All right, so my growth option, I took 2 presents. I took a bull from the bottom track. I'm only playing 3 cards this turn, and I only got 3 energy, which I used all of it. And the nice thing about that is I'll be able to reclaim cards, and I'll have 3 card plays. No, I don't want to do that anyway. I'm gonna get the 4 energy, so I have 1 energy left over before I get into playing my powers. All right, so I took 2 off. I took 1 from 4, 1 from the air. I played Exaltation of Molten Stone and Rain of Ash. I'm going to do Exaltation of Molten Stone to get myself the 3 energy, because I have 3 fires. Yeah, think it's a rough with every touch of breeze. Looking what's going on in land 8, I'm not sure it would make much sense to forget that major. I think that's too good. I think that's too good. You know what? I hate what I just did. I want to get lava flows back out here, so I'm not going to have this energy. Yeah, I got 4 energy. I played those 2 cards. I'm going to get 2 energy. I'm going to go back to my original plan here. So I played. I took both the presents from the top track, and now I got 5 energy that turn. I used 3 to play Lava Flows and Rain of Ash. That makes more sense. as we'll see. So again, it doesn't change my elements at all, except I only have 1 air instead of 2, but again, that's irrelevant. We're going to do my only fast power is going to be explosive eruption. And I'm going to destroy, could destroy 4. I think that doesn't make much sense, even though it gets me the fear. I'm just going to destroy 3. Could destroy 2, but then I'm running the risk if they do an extra thing there. Let me destroy. Doesn't matter. I'm not moving it, which is the problem. Those 5 fire would be really helpful. Yeah, I'm just going to destroy 2. That's fine. And that does unlock the first threshold. When I destroy that, I do 2 damage because of collapse and a blast of lava and steam. It becomes a 3rd damage because of the Badlands. That generates a fear. And then I'm going to do the first threshold. I'm going to target a land within range 1. I'm going to do 2 damage. I'm going to destroy that town. And again, hope I get a fear card. And I'm going to hope that I do not get any augmentation to the invader damage being done. Cool, that is done. We're going to do the Blooded Island effect. We're still healthy magically, and now we go with the event card. Healthy island, of course we are. In each land with 2 or more towns, push 1 town to an adjacent land without a town. We have no lands with 2 or more towns. Done. Wait, rest of the event card. Plagues bring fear and death. 1 fear purport with disease. That is not us. On each board, 2 damage to Dahan in a land with disease. And then finally the Dahan event. Engage on their own terms. During Ravage, Dahan only deal 1 damage to. They only deal 1 damage each, but they deal damage to 4 invaders. That's also not applicable. Fear card. We are in terror level 2. Invaders are not built on lands where Dahan outnumbers cities and towns. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's ridiculous. So let me get some reminder tokens. We are not building in land number 8 because there are 2 Dahan and there's only 1 town. That is magical. Cool. What are we doing? We're ravaging. Ravage step. We're only doing 1 damage. We're good. Build step. Not building there because of a magical avoid the Dahan fear card. We are building a town in land 3 though. So now we have 3 towns on the board. We're going to get our event card. In the event card, I'm sorry, the explore card. The explore card is sands and wetlands. So a wilds comes off land 5, a wild comes off land 2, and we successfully explore into land 4 and successfully explore into land 7. Invader cards advance. So a large part of what I was looking to do was to same in 3. Same in 3. I don't know what's happening in 3. That's fine. Yeah. So we're going to the town in 3, right? I mean, I could use that major, but I never think it's yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's right. Cool. Awesome. That's ridiculous. That is the most that is the most amazing fear card ever. Yeah, Brad's saying the same thing Tom was saying, but just coming from a different angle. Cool. No, it's great. So yeah, no building. What a ridiculous fear card that was. Wow. All right. Yeah, it's like I have 3 Dahan left on the board because the volcano like killed everyone else. But they just happen to be perfectly. All right, I'm never going to complain about fear cards not helping me again. Cool. So what are we doing? I'm going to... we just got to get rid of these 2 towns now. We just got explorers everywhere. Thank God we're not playing Russia. I'm going to add a... So again, I still have 3 presence there, which is one of the benefits of only destroying 2 instead of 3. But of course, I could just put 1 back from, you know, powered by furnace to the earth to whatever. But I'm going to add a wilds. Oh, that makes more sense, actually. Let me do this. I'm going to add a Badlands and a Wilds to land 5. Because then I'll be able to destroy that. Because it's adjacent. That's fine. Because it's a town there. I destroy 2, I'm destroying that anyway. No, I'm gonna add a Badlands and a Wilds to land 8. And then I'm gonna do Rain of Ash. Oh, that's pretty nice. I'm gonna target land 5. I'm gonna do 2 Fear, push 2 Dahan, and 2. I'm gonna push everything from land 5 into land 8. I'm not gonna have 3. Does that make sense? Doing 2 damage. Well, I could play these 2 cards. Yeah, these 2 cards I'll win next turn. Cool. Done. What am I gonna do? Oh, I have the Power by the Furnace of Earth. I'm gonna add a presence. I'm not even gonna bother gaining a power card. We're just gonna do the damage we need to do next turn and call it a day. So, reclaiming cards, getting 3 energy. Getting 5 energy from the presence track. I gain a power card. It doesn't matter. We'll gain Renewing Boon. I've never taken it before because I don't think it's not great for true solo, but I finally took it, guys. Now we're gonna play Pyroclastic Bombardment. Thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. I'm going to target land 8 with Thickets erupt with every touch of breeze. I do 2 damage. Becomes 3 because of the Badlands. That's a Fear, and then Pyroclastic Bombardment. I do 1. Oh, actually, I should have done the reverse order. Who cares? I do 1 damage to that town. I do 1 damage to each of these Dahan. I do 1 more damage. Oh, actually, the Badlands is a separate action, so the Badlands actually will wipe this guy out. Because when you do 1 damage to each, you can choose which one you want to have the Badlands trigger on, which is great. So the 1 extra damage, I actually use that to kill one of the explorers. 1 damage to Dahan, the 1 Dahan dies, and that is that. That is a Terra level 2 victory. That was remarkably easier than it should have been. But the crazy thing is, if that had built, I don't even think. I mean, it'd be Ravaging. I mean, I could gain the Fear card. There's a whole bunch of things I could have done. This is a really, really nice major power to draw. Just the cost of 3 and the way it teamed up with Pyroclastic Bombardment kind of made that a lot easier. And chat, I really I appreciate the chat kind of pointing out a couple of mistakes I was about to make before I made them. That really ridiculously strong Spirit. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what this thing is capable of. Obviously, remembering that rule of how collapse. If you have a lot of initial activity in the mountains, it just really makes this a little bit of a cheat code. It can be really swingy. So if I wasn't getting a lot of mountains, then that's where it's like kind of more important to save up. But I do find when there's a lot of activity in mountains, like one of my primary focuses is to prevent blight from getting there, because again, it makes getting to that big bopper that much harder, because now that's going to cost you 2 blight, because it's not going to destroy your presence based on the special rule that's written as part of that power, but it would still cascade. A meaty bop. I don't know if I make it look too easy, Edgars. I needed Tom, who's my MVPs of the chat tonight? I feel like I have 3 or 4. This was super fun. Clearly getting ready for Eric was part of the reason I could have definitely used 1 or 2 more warm-up games with this Spirit. But that was super. I'm super appreciative of him taking the time. Again, I hope the audio issues weren't too annoying. We got there. It wasn't perfect. Never is, but that was still super fun. I hope you guys learned some interesting stuff. I emailed him at one point. I was like, man, I swear you could talk about what you bought from the grocery store and talk about the process of paint drying, and I would find it interesting because he just has such a cool way of explaining things. So maybe we'll get him back on the channel in the future with whatever he's got coming up. Again, we'll be back. I got some scenarios in mind. I want to start doing some level 5s and 6s. I feel like it's been forever since we did a non-Jagged Earth Spirit, so I assure you I'll be getting some of the original spirits on the channel. They feel neglected. They tell me every day, and I keep telling them to be patient, and that's fine. Everyone talks to their copy of Spirit Island, right? That's not just me. So, cool. And I don't see anything in the chat. This has been a long night. I'm gonna go have some dinner with Mrs. Playthroughs and enjoy that. But anything that comes up, questions? Yeah, it's tough. Like, he's so busy, man. Like, he's so busy. I mean, if you look at the way, you know, I don't know if people are paying attention, but there's been a lot of unfortunate news coming out of the board game world in the last few days, the last few weeks. And to see a designer like Eric, who he's really active on the forums, he's active on Reddit, he's active in Facebook, and he's really doing all the FAQ, and you know, he's got a family, and you know, it's cool to see. You know, just he's just a really good dude, and you know, I feel really lucky that he came on the channel. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I agree with Otis for sure, for sure. But yeah, so anyone good, if you're on the fence about buying another one of his games, man, I hope this put you over the edge, and you know, him supporting me like this. It's, you know, my channel's not huge. I mean, it's like, what, I'm about to hit 2,000 at some point in the next few weeks, but you know, I think for him taking the time says a lot about who he is and his character, and it's cool. It's a minor thrill for me, man. Simple. You get to middle age and you're like, this. These are the minor thrills of life here. But yeah, thanks for bringing it. We'll be back. I don't know when the next live Spirit Island will be, but I definitely I'll get an Eric REUSS challenge on the channel soon, and again, get back to my original spirits as well. Anyway, you guys are great. I appreciate it. Until next time, happy gaming.